Alright guys, welcome back to Let's Make a Game. I'm Nick Stalker with Demonic Procedures. Today we're going to be talking about a side-scrolling shooter game with gamepad control input. And this is kind of the basic game I've laid out that we're going to be creating today. It's kind of like a, I don't know, hand-drawn art style that I've been kind of messing around with. Got a couple bad guys here, some jumps, some pits, a little moving thing, and then the exit of this level here. And we got our little stick figure guy over here. And so I'm going to launch this real quick and see if I can find my controller, which is on the ground. Pick this controller up, so it's all tangled up. There we go. Alright, so we have my guy right here. I can run right, I can run left, left, right. I can jump, I can shoot, I can jump and shoot, I can stand and shoot, I can run and shoot. And let's see here, I'll jump up here. That guy can shoot at me. He's not animated because I didn't really go through making a whole bunch. If I get hit, I kind of flash for a minute. So flash, and if I get 3 times, I die. And the level starts over, back over here. So I fall down the pit, whee, and level just kind of starts over. So shoot him a couple times. Whoop. So we can see he takes a couple hits to kill. And we got a bad guy up here and a bad guy over there. Oh, he can see me now, so he's only going to shoot at me if I'm within his line of sight. So we'll shoot a couple at him. Jump over here. Now on the other side of this guy. Got him. And now we have this bigger gap, which we have to use our double jump for. And then we have this mover right here, which will come back and forth. And this is all kind of just like this weird kind of hand-drawn aesthetic-y thing that I've done. And once we ride the mover over to this edge, and we can open the door and the level ends. And this would go to the next level, but this for this example, it just kind of restarts at this level here. So that's what we'll be making today. Close that down. And let's get started. We'll make a new game, put my controller aside here. And we're going to open up with a 1080p Landscape HD is the template that we're going to be doing. And here we go. Alright. So, at the very beginning, for me, for this specific game, I want to have a paper textured background. So we're going to insert a new object. We're going to make it a tiled background. We'll call this BG paper. Enter. Left click. Open. Desktop. No assets are somewhere here. Asset shooter. And let's see if I can find it. I think this is it. This is a pretty large one. It doesn't have to be this. This is actually really large for a game like this, so, but it'll be fine. We're just gonna move this up, and what's great about this is when you're using a tiled background, is if you're using a seamless texture, you can just stretch it on as big or as small as you like, and it'll just go forever. And as long as it's a seamless texture, you won't get any seams in it. So that's pretty cool. So we're just gonna make that as big as our entire layout. Alright. Make this a little bit bigger. Boom. We'll right click this, call it BG, and we'll lock it down. Right click again. We're going to rename this for our platforms that we're going to be jumping on. And let's bring some platforms in. We're going to right click, insert new object. This we're going to be using a tile map, which is actually pretty cool. I'll show you what this does. So we'll call this TMP underscore ground. So left click on that, and we'll go to open, and we're going to open this tile map that I created, which is just this one big square and this one small square, rectangle I mean, up there at the top. And now you can see it shows up over here in our tile map editor over here, and I can select. I can select different portions of this, and if I choose the draw button, I can actually just draw onto my canvas this kind of texture wherever I want. Alright, so let's undo all that. That actually looked like a penis there for a second. So that's the draw button. We have a rectangle tool, so I can select, say, a portion of this. So we want this, and I can actually create just a repeating portion of this for like a ground. Let's say this is our ground. So we'll do that. I think actually the better way to do this is if I hold shift, or actually I hold the left click down, sorry about that, I can select multiple parts of this. And let's say we want to do, oh, I think I went the wrong way. Oh, still doing it, okay. We'll do this. Womp, 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 all the way over. And then we'll select this one, and just have this go all the way over as well. So we have kind of a platform, but if we put a player on this, he's going to fall through because our tile map ground has no behavior. So we're going to add a behavior to this, call it a solid, and now that is a solid side thing there. So let's create a new layer, rename it, call this the player layer because this is the layer our player and enemies and stuff are going to be on. We can lock that platform layer for now. Make sure we change back to our arrow. And right click, insert new object, sprite, SPR for sprite underscore, call this the player controller. Boom, right click, we're just going to make it black, doesn't matter. And let's make this 64 by 64, and let's actually do, I think this is the width, I think it's width times height, 30, yeah, so 32 by 64, so it's kind of a rectangle. And let's give it a behavior and call it a platform. Add that. And if we hit play, we should see, yep, okay, so there's our guy. I can use the keyboard keys to make him jump and make him move. But if I go off this way, I'm going to fall off the edge. So that's not good. So let's add some walls so he can't leave. Lock him in forever. We're going to select this portion over here and select our rectangle tool again. Oops, I locked that layer. Go back to our platforms layer. And I like to do, when I'm doing walls, I like to do at least 2 wide. I don't know, it just looks better than, say, a 1 wide wall. And you can see we have this weird thing going here, so we'll just select this middle piece and get rid of those. Perfect. And I'll kind of show you over on this end what I mean about the 1 wide. So if I do it 1 wide, I don't know, it just doesn't look, to me, as good as, say, this over here. You know what I mean? I don't know, that's just a personal preference. You can make it 1 wide if you want to make it 1 wide. And this is kind of just to box our character in so he can't leave our level. Whoop, there we go. And we could do, obviously we could do one at the top too here. Even though I don't think in this specific level he'll ever get high enough to even, you know, see that part of the level, but hey, why not? Why not? Your design might be different than mine. So we'll do that. We want to get rid of these lines, so we'll use this middle piece and paint that out. And we'll do the same over on this side here. Whoops, double clicked it, my bad. My bad, guys. Alright. So we got our ceiling, we got our walls, we got our thing over here. But right now we're using the keyboard inputs. Let's bring in a controller input. So we're going to go down here, and for input we're going to select gamepad, insert, and let's start creating some events here. So we're going to go to our gamepad, and we're going to say is button down, we'll say the right D-pad, and we'll say Control C, Control V, and we'll say left D-pad, and we're going to go to our player controller, and we're going to simulate control. That'll be under the platform behavior that we added. Simulate control, and we're going to say move right. And then we're going to Control C, Control V, move left. And let's add another one while we're here. Gamepad on button pressed, we'll say the A button. And player controller, simulate control, and jump. So now, if I grab my controller over here, this is just a, I'm using a USB Xbox 360 controller. So yeah, if I hit the left and right on my D-pad, I go left and right. If I hit A, I jump. Fantastic. Oh yeah, look at him moving. Like a boss. Yeah, so I'm just using a USB Xbox 360 controller. I believe you could probably use any kind of USB controller that you'd want that would plug into a PC. Or if you have, I know a friend of mine, he has like this little connector that plugs into the back of his computer, and it can he can use wireless controllers with it. So it probably works with wireless as well. I haven't tested it myself, but there we go. All right, so that's super simple. We already got that done. He's already moving around. Fantastic. But it's zoomed out really far. And if I go all the way over to the right, I'll show you here. All the way to the right. Even though we have more level off to the right, the camera's not following him. So let's get the camera to follow our homeboy. We'll lock our platform layer, unlock our player layer. Make sure we have our mouse selected. Collect our little guy. Let's go to behaviors. And let's put the scroll to behavior on him. And it's really zoomed out, so I'm going to go to system. Let's see here. On start layout. System, set, layout, scale. If I can find it. Oh, here we go. Set layout scale right here. And we're just going to zoom it into 1.5. So 1 would be the original size, 2 would double the size, 0.5 would be zooming out, and 1.5 would just kind of zooming in a little bit. So let's zoom it in a little bit so we can see. Okay, so that's closer to what we want. We have all this empty space down here at the bottom, but we can also see that the camera follows our guy here, which is closer to what we're looking for. And let's fill in this space down here. So we'll just unlock that platform layer, grab this little middle piece here, make sure our rectangle tool is selected, and boom, make it bigger so it's not all empty space down there. So I think for our first obstacle that we want to do is we want to teach the player how to jump. And to do that, we're going to make a pit of death. So let's actually unlock our player. Let's move him over here, just so I can get an idea of where he's going to be at. Make sure we get our pencil selected. And we'll give him a little bit of runway here. We're going to make an edge there. And we're going to make, it's going to be a small jump. And then we're going to make an edge there. We're going to grab the erase tool and just erase all of this. And get rid of all this. I'm kind of regretting filling this all in now. That was a mistake. So now I gotta delete all this. Alright, almost done. Almost there. Should have done this like Martha Stewart. And we have one already prepared right over here. Alright, so we're going to grab our rectangle tool. We're going to grab the left side of this wall. And we're just going to drag this down. Right side of the wall, rectangle tool, drag this down. And let's check it out. Oh, cool. So now we have a pit. We can't just run across. And if we fall to our demise down there. So it'll teach the player, like, hey, how do I get across this? And they'll start hitting buttons, and they're like, oh, there's a jump. It's fantastic. I can jump over that pit. Alrighty. Oops, wrong one. So now I want to teach the player. I'm going to actually give this guy, my guy, I'm going to give him the ability to double jump. He needs a double jump. So we're going to enable a double jump, and we're going to create a taller kind of thing that he has to jump over. And hopefully this will teach our player how that he can double jump. So now we're going to put another obstacle here. That's going to be too high for them to theoretically jump over without using a double jump. So let's see if that works. So we get here. We can't jump over it, but if he double jumps, he can get up. So we can see this. This is all just, you're trying to teach the player all about your game while they play the game. That's the great thing about video games, is that we can teach a player how to play through gameplay and through obstacles, and teach them while playing. In a lot of games, you look at it like they have tutorials or how-tos, and like those screens that pop up with the picture of the controller and like the buttons of what everything does, and it's just like, oh my god. Or you get the stupid pop-ups while you're playing, and it interrupts the gameplay flow, and it just takes the player out of the game, and But there's ways to teach players how to play your game through gameplay. And this is a technique right here that you can use. Is like they use it in if you watch Sequelitis, he goes on a really fantastic rant about this about when he's comparing Mega Man and how Mega Man X is such a great game because it just teaches you all about the game without actually doing pop-ups and stupid stuff like that. So now the player should realize that not only can they jump, but they'll get over here, they'll jump, and they'll be like, I can't get over it, and then they might get frustrated and hit the jump button again, and then realize that they can double jump. You know what I mean? So we got that already set up, and we could put a bad guy maybe just chilling. Maybe I already kind of set this level up, so I already know what's going to be here, but we could set it up any way we want. Put maybe a bad guy there. We could put another bad guy here. We could, let's see here. Let's bring in some more assets to play with, actually. So we're going to insert new object. Let's bring in the player. The actual player. And I'm going to call this SPR Sprite Player Anim, short for animations. And that's going to go on our player layer. And this first one is going to be an idle, so over here under animations we're going to rename this to idle. We're going to right click down here, import frames from files, and if I go to player, idle, I have 3 frames of idle animation. If I delete this first frame, I click on this again, I hit loop, yes, and I can right click, hit preview, and there's my very well done, amazingly well done. I mean, look at that. That's beautiful. Idle animation. Alright, so let's add another animation for our run. Right click over here, add animation, and then rename it to run. Come on, there we go. We're going to right click down here, import frames from files. We're going to go to our run animation. And we're going to select all these. This is my running animation, which I actually kind of stole from Mega Man as well. What I did basically was I printed out a sprite sheet that had Mega Man's animations on it. I put another piece of paper over top that, and I kind of just traced this little guy to get the animations. And then I scanned that back into my computer, removed the white background, and was just left with these hand-drawn kind of pen art style. So we have it on looped, I believe, so let's preview that. Yep, we got a little running animation. Look at we go. And we need a jump, if I remember correctly, so let's go to jump. Add animation, or add insert import frames from files, I'm sorry. And we'll add the jump animation, which is not a loop, so we don't need to set the loop for it. Or another animation for falling. So we'll add another animation, import frames from files, fall, boop, and then we'll add another animation called land, and this is when they land on the ground. Import frames from files, boop, 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 land, bam, 2-frame animation, and all 3 of these are just single play animations. They don't actually need to loop, so we don't have to set loop over here. Alright, so we got our little guy. Let's line him up with our player controller. He's a little big. Let's make him a little smaller. Make him about the same height as our other thing. Let's grab our player controller here. That's a decent hitbox. This whole player controller is going to act as our hitbox. So, we're going to go to our guy, and we're going to go to behaviors. A pin, and a pin behavior, and so we want to pin at the start of layout. We want our animations to be pinned to our player controller, which is controlling our player's movements. And let's see what that does. Let's see. Okay, so now we got our guy. He can move left and right. None of his other animations are playing except for his idle. That's fine for now. We'll set those up. Okay, so let's go back and let's get rid of the player controller. We're just going to make it invisible. So if we play again, boom, now our character's moving left and right. Magic. And all the collision is going to be handled by that box. All the collision detection is handled by the box. The box is moving, and this kind of thing is just imagine the animations are basically just taped on top of it. Alright, and so we want to say player controller. Let's set up some animations here. We'll say if he's moving, and we'll add another condition, player controller, and he is on the floor when he's touching a solid or on a solid. We are going to set his animation to run. Okay. We'll do another one. We'll say if he has stopped, and add another condition here. If he has stopped and is on the floor, we'll just say, instead of stop, we'll say is moving and on the floor, but we're going to invert it by selecting it and hitting I. So the X means that the platform is not moving. We're going to set the animation to... We're going to set the animation to idle. And we're going to say if the player's jumping... not jumping, on jump, I believe. On jump. Set animation to jump. And then we're going to say, again, player controller is falling, on falling. Set the animation to the fall animation. Oop, I almost typed animation. The animation. Alright, add event, player controller. And we're going to say on landed. And we're going to go ahead and say on landed, set animation to land. Whoops. Land. And then one final thing, we're going to say player animation on finished. Once he finishes his land animation, let's set it back to idle. Let's see if this works. Who knows? This might not work. It may work. Whoops. So there we go. And he's moving left and right. It's kind of slow, but jump, fall, and boom. I don't think he's playing his land animation, but we'll see. I think his run could be speeded up a little bit. It's like a slow-mo run. And also when he's running to the left, he's still running in the same direction. He's kind of like sliding around. So let's go to our guy here. Run. And we're going to change the speed over here. Let's 15. I don't remember what this... I think I set it to 10 before. But I don't know if that's right. Oh, there we go. That looks better. But he's still not turning around when we run to the left. So, let's actually create... I'm going to right click down here, create a group called movement. Animations. It's movement and animation. And we're just going to put all of this in that group except for the unstart thing. Right click, or hit, we're going to select, we're going to select this and we're going to hit the Q key, which will bring up a comment so we can say on D-pad R down, move right, hold shift and left, select all that, Control C. Actually, I think I just Control C on this whole thing. Control V, yep. Double click it, double left click it, say move left. Oops, that's not what I'm going to do. Control V. On a press, jump. Player is on floor, moving, play run anim. Control C, Control V, is on floor, not moving, play idle, anim. Player jumps, play jump anim, player falls, play fall anim, and I think you can see where this is going. This is just to help us later on, because if we have a lot of code, we want to just be able to quickly look at this and be like, oh, this is what this does, this is what this does. Let's see. Player landed, lands, play land anim, and then land anim finished, play the idle anim. Fantastic. And we're going to create a group for this as well. Add group. We'll call this, I always call this initialize. I always have an initialize group where I put my like on start of layout stuff. And let's move that up to the top. Okay, so movement. Now we want to add an event, and we'll say on button pressed, D-pad left, not down, left. Control C, Control V, right. So the cool thing about this is, like, say if you wanted to add, like, I don't have a ducking animation. Let's say you wanted to add a ducking animation. What you could do is, like, on D-pad is down. You know, set animation to, or the, you know, set animation to duck, and then you can also have at the same time have it like change the height of this player controller, so it changes the hitbox to a shorter height, and then on released, you know, have it return the hitbox to the proper height, and then also that actually, I don't know if that might move. That might move the actual animation too, so I'm not sure, but check it out, play with it. See if you can figure out how to add a ducking animation. I haven't really had thought about it. Let's see, player controller, we're going to do instance variables. We're going to add one. I think my computer's going laggy with all this record going. Variable that we're going to add is dir, as in a dir. We're going to call it text, and by default, he's going to be right. Dir is short for direction in this case. So, add action, player, set value of that instance variable dir. We want to set it to right if they press the D-pad. And we want to set it to left if they hit the left on the D-pad. Oh, why did I cancel that? That was stupid. Left. Whoop. Done. Okay, and then we also want to add action. This guy, we're going to set mirrored. Where is it at? I think I already passed it. Yep, set mirrored. Done. Actually, not mirrored. If he's facing right, we don't want it to be mirrored, but if he's facing left, we want it to be mirrored. And so we'll see what that does for us. And if he's running right, he runs that way. If he's running left, see? So it's flipping it left and right depending on what D-pad button I press. So we can see, and also you can tell by my awesome animations that he actually shrinks a little bit from his running, from his idle to his run. Oh yeah! So yeah, now we can run left and right. But he can't shoot anything, so we need to be able to make him shoot. So let's add those in. Close that down. Maybe help my computer catch up. Let me close. I think I might have Steam open as well, which can be a small resource hog, but we're going to move this. We'll say, and the dir stuff is doing nothing for us right now, but it will come into effect later, I'm sure. And maybe it won't. Maybe I'll use it, maybe I won't. Who knows? We'll figure it out. Let's see. You say on D-pad left, set mirrored. Control C, Control V. On D-pad right, set not mirrored. And we're just gonna shift and click these and move them up into this animation thing here. So let's bring in our bullet. We're gonna add it up here. Make sure it's on the right layer, player layer. Again, lock that for now. I don't want anything on that. Call it a sprite, SPR, player bullet. We want to distinguish the player bullet because we're going to be having enemy bullets as well. So we don't want them to get them confused. So I think this is from files, because I know some of these are sprite strips, some of these are files. So let's see here. Player, no. Bullet. Yep, here we go. This we want to loop. And we could change this, I guess, but it's really not important to change the name here, but we could change it. Fire. And let's right click and preview. There's our bullet there. It's a little slow, so let's double the speed. And I think I want to change, yeah, I definitely want to change the collision. Because our bullet will be hitting our objects way before our bullet ever actually reaches them if the collision's way over here. So we're just going to bring it just inside of it a little bit. And bring this down. I like to have my bullets kind of overlap whatever they're hitting just a small smidge. And we're going to right click and apply this to the whole animation. And as we can see, it's applied to everything now. This might be a little too much far in, but yeah. Okay, let's give it the bullet behavior. Where is it at? Bullet behavior. One more behavior we're going to do is destroy outside layout. So anytime it goes outside of this layout, it automatically gets destroyed. Bullets go fast, so let's pump this up to 1,000. And let's add the command to make spawn. Gamepad, on button pressed. X button. And we'll say player controller. Spawn another object. Bullet. And it's on layer 2. Because our player layer over here, you see, is 2. And let's see what happens. Pew, 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 pew. So now we could shoot. The issue being that they don't interact with anything around them. And if I'm facing this way, they don't shoot in the proper direction. So, to change that, we're going to say bullet on collision with another object. We'll say the tile map ground. Temporary tile map ground. We want the bullet to destroy itself. And we can use I believe we can use compare instance variables. If the player's direction is equal to right, and we want to set the bullet angle to 0, and if the player direction equal to left, let's set the bullet angle to 180. Let's see if that works. That might work, might not. We'll see. Okay, cool. So they're hitting that thing and being destroyed. So if I go that way, they're being destroyed, but the problem is they kind of, if I do this, it's changing the angle of all the bullets that are spawned and not the one that I just shot. So there's an issue there. Okay, let's do this another way. We're going to right click, insert new object, call it a function. Not call it a function, we're going to insert the object function. Functions are great. We're going to left click, we're going to say on function, on shoot. On the function shoot. And we're going to grab this, paste it down here. And we're going to say spawn the bullet and then set. Spawn the bullet and then set. And then this will call the function shoot. So let's see if that does anything. Oh yeah, now it's working. Now it's working. So why does this work? This works because when we hit the X button, right, it calls the function shoot. It only calls the function one time. It checks the direction that the player's in, it spawns a bullet and sets the angle either 0 degrees, so it's just going its normal direction, or if the direction is left, it sets it to 180 degrees, so it doesn't change all of the bullets within the that are currently in the layout. It only changes the bullet that was just spawned because it's only being called once. And the cool thing about this is actually we can add some parameters to this and do it kind of like the programming. Well, no wonder I can't move my controller. My computer table foot was sitting on top of my controller cord. The cool kind of programmy way that we could do this is we can add a parameter, get a player controller, and we'll get their dir. Okay, and then instead of saying if whatever blah blah blah, we can say system compared to values, and we can say what's it, function.param. Yeah, function.param 0. And then we could do the same down here. Instead of right, we'll set it to left. So this is cool. So when we call the function shoot, it'll grab whatever direction that the player is facing, left or right, and insert it into parameter 0 for us. And then when that function is called, it's going to check that function parameter 0 and see what it's equal to. If it's equal to right, then it's going to shoot to the right. If it's equal to left, it's going to shoot to the left. And that's kind of like the programmer way to do it. That's how, that's how they would do it, I guess, is a more programmer style way of doing it that I know of. So we got the bullet shooting, we got him going in the right direction, but it's not playing any shooting animations or anything. So he's just still doing his regular walk animation. He's not, actually shooting anything. So let's add some more animations. And to do that, we're going to go to Project, Player Anim. We're going to add an animation called Idle Fire. Right click, import frames from files. We're going to go to Assets, Player, Idle Shoot. I got 2 frames of this. Okay, and we'll say add animation, run fire, and run shoot. So he looks like holding his little gun while he's running and shooting. This one is a loop, yes, and I believe we put the speed at 15. The idle fire, I know it's looped here, but I don't think it's going to be looping here because it's going to be a button press command. I'm not sure. I might have to change this to looping later. Let's change it to loop, just in case. We'll see. Let's see. Jump fire. Jump, so we can jump and shoot at the same time. From files. Jump shoot. Okay, actually, let me close this down real quick. File, save as project. Asset shooter, new folder, shooter, tut. Okay, I just want to save this off real quick because I just realized, I just thought about it. I'm like, my computer's running a little slow right now, and if it crashes, that's gonna suck. So okay, jump fire. We're gonna add an animation fall fire. Import frames from files. There we go. And then add animation land fire, I think. Is that one too? Do I have one for that? I do. Look at me with all the cool animations. Alright. Done. So, let's give our player controller a new instance variable. This one's going to be a boolean. And a boolean is just 0, 1, true, false kind of thing. And it's going to be called is shooting. And we'll call it boolean. Right now it's automatically set to false, which is perfect. And we also want to give him another behavior called timer. Oops. Add that. Okay. So if the player hits the X button, let's set his boolean to is shooting to true. And let's add an event. Player controller is boolean is shooting. Is he shooting? No. Let's say hit invert with the I. We're going to bring this up into the movements, if I can. We're going to bring this up here. Left click, click the is moving, hit, or is shooting, I'm sorry, hit B. Select all this stuff, all these animations that we put in there, all the delicious animations. Not the gamepad stuff. We don't want the gamepad stuff. We just want the animation stuff. Okay, and we're going to move it up under is shooting. So, perfect, okay. Yeah, so first we want to do, now that we're adding a shooting mechanic, before we play any animation like a run or idle or jump, fall, and land, or anything like that, we want to check if the player is shooting. Because if he's shooting, we don't want to play these animations. We want to play another set of animations while he's doing all this stuff. So we're going to say Control-C, Control-V. Not shooting anims is shooting anims. Whoops, amids. I don't even know what that is. Okay. We're going to uninvert this. And we're going to keep all the same rules, except for we're just going to add fire to everything. Run fire, idle fire, jump fire, fall fire. I think this should work, but maybe not. I don't know. I don't know. And then this one we want to change to land fire. Let's see if this works, kids. Okay, so this is setting the boolean to true. We need something to set it back off to false. After, the bullet has been spawned. So, we want to call the timer behavior that we had. Where is the timer? We're going to start a timer called for 0.5 seconds. We'll call it cooldown. And we'll Control-C, Control-V down here. We'll add an event. And we'll say player controller timer. So when that timer cooldown, oops, I keep using the the semicolon at the end of this on accident. Then we want to toggle off our boolean is shooting. So we're going to set that back to false. So when he hits the X button, it's going to set is shooting to true. It's going to call our function shoot. That's going to start a timer called cooldown, and I think we want to add here another condition. Is boolean shooting is shooting. We're going to set this to false. B, move this down, move all that down. So if the player shooting, if not, then when they hit the X button, we're going to call the shoot function. We're going to set shooting to true. They're just going to fire a bullet. It's going to set a cooldown for the shooting, and then it's going to turn shooting to off. So let's see what that does. I don't know. This may work. This may not work. So this is all working still. That's good. Let's go over here. So now he can run and shoot. He can jump shoot, I guess, kind of, ish. It's all coming out of the stomach, though, still. He can idle shoot. And he can go back to, but, he's shooting kind of slow. I don't like that. So let's set the timer to like a 0.2. And even cooler than that, we can go up here. Oh, not that button. We can right-click, add a local variable called cooldown. Set this number to 0.2. And then the time that we want to wait is the variable cooldown. So if I use this variable if I'm using a number multiple times, what I'll do is I'll replace it with a variable. So that way I don't have to change. I don't have to be like, okay, change this to 0.5, change this to 0.5. Okay, that doesn't work. Change this to 0.2, change this to 0.2. Okay, that doesn't work. Change this to 0.1, change this to 0.1. All I have to do is go over here, set it right here, done. Set it and forget it. So now we're on 2.2 cooldown. I feel like our run animation isn't working properly. I could be wrong, but let's set this to like a 0.1. I have my other project that I was working on earlier. When I made this before, I could just go look at that and see how I did it and cheat, but yeah, okay. I think the issue being is that seems to work for my non-looping stuff, kind of. Yeah, that's definitely not. Definitely not. So let's take off the. Let's do this. No. I'm gonna make sure that this is playing, is shooting. This is setting it to false on the cooldown. I see what the issue is. I just don't know how I fix it on this one. Alright, I'm gonna cheat. So let's see over here. What do I do over here? Same thing. I wonder why it works in this one. On timer shoot, set shooting to false. Spawn bullet. Kind of basically the same thing I got over there. Okay, but this isn't calling the timer. What's calling the timer? That would be under controls, if I'm correct. That's weird. I do have a wait here. I don't think that matters. Let's find out. Because I'm not even, like, technically this isn't really supposed to how you're supposed to use weights. But, I don't know. See if that fixes anything, I guess. Now, let's see this. We'll add an action. System. Wait. 0.1 seconds. That what I have over here? Oh, is it because it's getting set here? Let's start the cooldown here. Oh, because I have this over here. Let's move this up, which is going to screw up this other stuff. That's fine. I don't even need this anymore, do I? Nope. Add function. Start timer. 0.2. What cooldown? Oh, because every time I'm hitting the X button is restarting it, maybe? I don't have to go through the delay? Let's see if that works. Debug it on the fly. Oh, I'm still getting that poppy, weird animation pop. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Set shooting to true. Start timer 0.2. Spawn bullet. Maybe there's someone smarter than me like, come on, you idiot. Spawn bullet. Does it even work in this one? Maybe I just didn't notice it didn't work in this one. I'm pretty sure it works. Let's see here. This is my other one. Yeah, this works. Oop. Okay, so that works. Why does it work there and not here? What's going on? Is shooting, is moving, run fire. Okay. Maybe this is the issue. Maybe that's the issue. Yep, that was the issue. Oh, I figured it out. Okay. The issue was the checking to see if it was not shooting, because it wouldn't allow multiple X inputs. So, delete that. Alright, so we got that. Problem is it's spawning out of his stomach and not out of his gun. So instead of having the player, let's actually go back to our anims here. Idle fire, we want to add a origin point, a new one, called 1. We're going to place it at the tip of the gun, and we're going to right click over here, apply to a whole animation, and then just move it a little bit, I guess. Run fire, we're going to add a new point, put it at the tip of the gun, apply to whole animation, and then we're just going to kind of move it around to meet wherever the tip of the gun is. There's fine. Down a little bit, that's fine. Down a little bit, jump fire, and another image point. There, apply to the whole animation. Not all animations, make sure you're selecting whole animation, not all animations. If you put it on all animations, it's going to apply it to every single animation. You only just want to do it to this one singular animation that you're working on. And land fire, add one. So when you right click image point 1, you got whole and all. Always make sure you do whole. Not always, but in this specific instance, make sure you're doing whole. Because sometimes you do want to do it to all. So okay, so over here we're going to spawn the bullet, but we're going to have the player spawn it instead of the controller. Spawn another object, and then the image point that we want to spawn it at is 1. We can copy paste this. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so now it's coming out of the gun. The bullets for this size of a character is probably too big. And you can see my animations aren't lined up perfectly. Because here's in my regular running animation, when I start to shoot, he kind of drops down a little bit, which isn't the greatest. So, to fix that, what we can do, I think, is if he's dropping down, when I go to the, is it the run fire? We're going to do the image point, and we want to move it up. So let's move it up to 70. And then we can right click the image point, apply to the whole animation. And let's see if that fixes anything. Yep, there we go. So I just moved the origin point up a little bit. And let's make this bullet a little bit smaller. A little bit smaller. A smaller bullet for our gun. And to kind of get an idea, I'm actually going to change this to initial animation. Instead of default, we're going to change it to idle fire. Just so I can kind of get an idea of how big of our gun is. The blast can be a little bit bigger than the gun. That's fine, but we don't want it to be huge. I think that's perfect. Yeah. That'll be a perfect little bullet. My awesome, perfect French accent. No, I'm joking. Okay, let's go back to him. Instead of idle fire, let's just change it back to idle. Okay, so we got our guy. He's running, he's jumping, he's shooting. He's a run, jump, shoot man. Jumping and shooting. Jumping and shooting. Alright, let's add an end to this. So we're going to insert a, make sure we're on the right layer. Right click, insert. We're going to sprite SPR. Mine is a door. animation. We're going to open up, oh, nope, it's multiple frames, so from files, door, close door, let's bring that in. Rename this animation to closed. Add another animation to open. Import frames from files. Open. And there we go. And if I preview, the door opens. Is a door? Okay. And I think we might need a slightly bigger door for this guy. Right there. Perfect. And let's move the door to the end of the map here. This is where our players got to get to win. Alright. Sorry about that, my ear was itchy. And we'll say player controller on collision with the door. And we'll hit B to go to a sub event. And let's check out, let's see what the animation is playing. We want to say if he's playing, the door is playing the closed animation. Then we want to go here to the player. We want to start ignoring input because we don't want the player to be able to do anything anymore because they've reached the end. And we want the door to set its animation to open. So when we get there, whoop, 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 whoop. Jump and shoot, man. Jumping and shooting. Oh, why didn't it start ignoring input from me? And also I want to move this back because I don't want my guy to be able to walk over it. Right click, Z order, send to the bottom layer. Stop ignoring. I meant start ignoring. That's what I did wrong. Okay, so let's try this again. He's running and shooting, jumping and shooting, running, jumping. And now he's at the door, and I can't press anything. I can't jump, I can't shoot in the door. Oh, I can shoot. Oh, why isn't it ignoring input from player? Why is that not happening? Maybe I can, instead of that, just disable this whole thing. Let's try that. Disable the platform. I don't, maybe, he might just fall right through the, through the level since I'm disabling the platform. Let's see. Okay, well he doesn't, I can still shoot. Is that based off of something else? Huh, that's so weird. I don't know why this is not seen as input. Because it should only be calling the shoot function when the X button is pressed, but if I'm disabling the platform behavior, or if I'm even ignoring input from user, that's very, very odd indeed. Well, I could say, what I could do, what I can do, is instance variable, boom, boom, call this win, boolean. This is kind of a wonky way of doing it, but we'll set boolean win to true, and get rid of all this stuff, and we could do add another condition here. Is boolean set is when invert it so it's false. That is so wonky. This is probably the worst way to do it. I would not suggest doing it this way, but Sometimes you gotta do it dirty. Sometimes you just gotta do it dirty like that. Because I don't feel like sitting there and debugging the reason why it's not working on my ignore input settings. Whoa, that was weird. Moonwalk. Alright, cool. So that's working. And we can go ahead and set animation to idle. So he's not just sitting there running at the end. And that should fix that. I don't know how I got that moonwalk thing. There we go. I think it's like okay, so if I'm facing, there's a way to do it that, like, if you're hitting left and right fast enough, you can get the controller confused. Anyways, okay. That's a little minor bug that I'm not super worried about, that they can moonwalk. Okay, so that's movement and animation. This is our shooting stuff, so let's create a group called Shoosting. And let's move all this stuff into that. And we'll add another group called Winning. Move that there. And let's add another group called, since we're doing Winning, let's add another group called Losing. And let's add a lose factor here. And the first we're going to do is set up how they die when they fall into these pits. So we'll go sprite, kill zone. Player layer is fine for that. We're going to change the color to red just so it pops out. And do this, and do this, and do that. Make it invisible. Invisible. Oh, and let's add, since we're doing a losing, let's add his death animation. Right click, add animation, death. It's the death animation, death is coming. Import frames from files. Player, there we go, death. And his death is he kind of just breaks apart. So let's preview that. Maybe a little faster. Maybe a 10. And we could also add a cool particle effect to this or something. But we'll say player controller on collision with the kill zone. Move this up here. Whoops. You can even add a global variable called lives. We'll set it to 3. And we'll go to player controller. We'll do that later. We want to subtract 1 from lives. And we can restart the layout. Restart layout. 1 second, let me grab a drink of water. Sorry if that sounds gross on your guys' end. Getting parched from all this talking. We'll restart the layout, subtract 1 from lives, and let's create another. We'll create a new layout. Add its own event sheet. Game over. And this first layout will be called Level 1. Game over. And on game over, insert new sprite SPR beat. Actually, I don't even need I'll call it just do a text, which is now called SPRB. Let's call it TXT game over. And we'll just set the text to game over. And let's bring over our paper. I can find it. BG paper, there it is. Okay, right click, Z order, send to the bottom. Let's take this. Say 1920 divided by 2 is 960. Duh. Let's set the alignment to the center. Vertical alignment center, hotspot center. Let's set its position to 1080, 960 divided by 2, 540, 540. That should put our text right in the center of the screen, but me making it large is going to screw it up because I'm an idiot. And let's set the font size something ginormous, like 72, so they can't miss it. And the only reason I'm doing this is because I just don't have a sprite made up, I don't think, for Game Over. But you should make one. Make your own cool Game Over sprite. Research that. So, that is definitely not in the middle. What the hell's going on? What is the... Why is it 1708? Should be 1920 by 1080. Oh, that's the layout size. Oh, okay, there we go. That was weird. Okay. That's fine, that's fine. So go back to this. We'll say if system compare variable lives is equal or lesser than 0, system go to layout game over. And there we go. That's that for the now. For now, so let's see if that works. Whoops. Say wee boom. Oh, this is the wrong one. I'm playing the other one. Uh-oh. New project? Yes, this one. Not this one. I don't need you anymore, I don't think. Okay. Okie dokie. Let's try this again. Game over. Alright. Okie dokie. Artichokey. Let's see how far are we at? Ooh, hour. Okay. We're getting there. Getting there, guys. Alright, so let's create a new layer. Rename layer UI. And I think this might be the last layer that that free users of Construct can use. Don't quote me on that because I haven't actually had a free version of Construct in a long time. So these are going to be our lives. Again, I don't have another graphic for this, but this should be easy enough. I'll just go 1, 2, 3, boom. Right click over here, duplicate, right click over here, duplicate. And we'll start with 3. We'll take 1 away. Wait. Take 2 away. Boom. So now it goes boom, boom, boom. And speed we'll set to 0 because we don't want it to play. It's a little small. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Again, you might want this to be different, like images of like heads or something. And this layer, we do not want it to parallax, so 0 and 0. So it should just stay the same. And then we'll say subtract 1 from lives and set frame to whatever its current frame is. And then just +1. Let's see if that works. No, dang it, I'm on the game over screen. This one. This is the screen I want. That's not good. Oh, maybe because of the zooming. It's the scaling. So I also don't want it to scale, I don't think. Because I zoomed in. I think, oh, there we go. Now it's part of the UI. And if I go over this way, it just kind of follows me around. And if I die, oh, that's not good. Boom. Boom. So I think the issue being is that instead of that, we want it to do here. Set animation to could do it backwards. Let's do it backwards. That's the problem that we want to do. That's what we want to do. So 0 frame is going to be 2. 2 frame is going to be and that's it's going to go 1 2 3 instead of 3 2 1. And then what we can do is set animation, set frame to whatever our current lives are minus 1. And that should work. Dang it, man. Well, not game over screen again. That should work. So, oh, now we got 2 lives. Now we got 1 life. And now we got 0 lives. So basically what we're doing is, if we look at this, the first frame is 1 life, the second frame is 2 lives, and the third frame is 3 lives. But the numbers are 0, 1, 2 instead of 1, 2, 3 because it always starts at 0. But we have 3 lives. So at the beginning we have 3 lives, and so we take the number 3, we minus 1, that gives us 2. So that'll set animation frame to basically 2. Then we lose 1, so then this is equal to 2. We minus 1 from 2. We get 1, that gives us 2 lives. And then once we have 1, we minus another 1, it gets 0, and that will give us our 0. But we're going to a new layout on that anyway, so it doesn't really matter, but... Okay. Let's add some bad guys. Let's do that. Plug that up. Insert new object. And we're going to go to Sprite, SPR, enemy. And we're going to add them to the player layer. This one I also don't have animated because I couldn't be bothered. And I think this is actually something I stole from the internets. Yeah, this guy is something I stole from the internets. Gotta love the internets, baby. And we're just going to place him up here. And he needs a bullet to shoot at us because he's going to be a spitting enemy. Enemy bullet. That could be on the player layer as well. Import from frames files. And the enemy bullet for the art can, you might want to do something different with yours to distinguish the enemy bullets from the players, but I'm just doing the same bullet. Speed this up. Speed this up. Loop. Yes. And let's make it approximately... Actually, we can keep it bigger, I guess. I don't know. Let's see what this looks like. Yeah, he could spit something bigger out like that. I believe in him. Behaviors. Bullet. Bullet bill. And let's go up here. We're going to add... we did the bullet. We're going to do destroy outside layout. And we'll go over here. And we'll say enemy bullet on collision with another object, the ground. We're going to say enemy bullet gets deleted or destroyed. Boom. Or if the enemy bullet has a collision with the player hitbox, the controller, we still want it to destroy, but also let's go to our player. I guess the game, well, we're going to add some, let's rename this to level 1 events, and rename this to, game over events. And really, this really should be broken down, if you're doing this for a bigger game. This really should be broken down into, let me save real quick, this should be broken down into, like, different event sheets. So like an event sheet for player movement, player movement controls, shooting, an event sheet for winning, losing, and stuff like that, broken down into completely different event sheets. And then really the only time the levels need their own specific event sheets is level specific things. And so like, let's say this is my level 1 event sheet, okay? It's very level 1 specific things. I can right click and I can include event sheet, and I can pick my like movement event sheet, my shooting event sheet, and stuff like that. So that way these events can work for multiple levels and not just this one level. But yeah, side note. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, player. Player. We want to give the player some instance variables, and we'll call it HP. It'll be set to 100. And this is going to go in the UI layer, unlock that. Right click, insert new object. We're going to do a progress bar. PRB HP. Progress bar HP. And we're just going to, can we rotate this? I believe we can rotate this, right? No, you can't rotate this? That's unfortunate. Okay, that's no huge worries. So we're going to set the original value to 100. Its maximum value is 100. Oops. Make it a little bit larger. And we'll say on collision, every time a bullet hits the player, let's give this enemy bullet, enemy bullet instance variable damage, and it's going to do 20 damage to our character. Okay, and so the player, we want to subtract from HP. We want to subtract from them. Actually, it shouldn't be the bullet; it should be the enemy. Yeah, let's do it that way. I mean, you could do it either way, but I like doing it with the enemy. Keeps this number 20, and we'll say subtract from HP enemy damage, because let's say down the line we're gonna have many different enemy types. So let's say enemy slime, SPR slime, okay, and for now we'll just make it a blob, a big blob. And this guy, we're going to rename him to Sprite Spitter. Okay, and so we want to go down here to families, add a family, and we want to add the spitter and the slime into this family and call this family enemies. And then enemies is going to have an instance variable called damage. Let me go back to spitter. Delete. So this family is going to have an instance variable called damage, which will be whatever. And so now I can, he's getting his instance variable from the family that he's in. So 20, he's going to do 20 damage. Maybe the slime's only going to do 10 damage. And that way, we can just easily say something like player controller, subtract from HP, enemy damage. No, that's not going to work either. Would be by the bullet. I'm getting all kind of trying to do it complicated and confused because I'm being stupid. Okay, so this does still have the damage instance variable. So say player controller, subtract from HP, enemy bullet, and we'll get its damage. Ignore everything I just said. We're going to add an instance variable to enemy bullet. We're going to call it damage. We're going to give it a value of 20. And we're going to subtract that from the player's health. And then we're going to set the progress bar to set progress to whatever the player's health is. HP. Sorry, I was trying to get all weird and convoluted and set it up for like multiple enemies down the line, but I was just being stupid. So don't mind me. We're going to set the bullet speed to 1,000 so it's a fast bullet. We're also going to create a new group called Spitter. And this stuff is going to go in there. Alright, so now we got to tell the bad guy when to spit his spitter. When to spit the spitter. So, I feel like I put that enemy bullet on the wrong layer. Did I? No, I didn't. Okay. We need to tell him when to spit. So we're going to go to behaviors. We're going to give him a line of sight behavior. And that is somewhere. Right there. Give him a line of sight. We don't want it to be 10,000 pixels. We're going to do 1,000. Because we have our screen is about 1920, so almost 2,000 pixels wide. So he can see from approximately half a screen away. That seems fair. And we're going to say if the spitter has line of sight to the player, and we'll say if the player compare x is less than the spitter's x position, which means the player would be to the left of him, we're going to have the spitter spawn an object, enemy bullet, on layer 2, and we're going to set that bullet angle to 180 if the spitter's x is greater than, oops, I did that wrong. Oh no, player x is greater than, that means the player is on the right of him. Set the angle to 0. I believe that's right. I feel like that's right. I could be wrong. Let's find out. Let's find out together. Oh man, he is spitting. Look at all those bullets. And I was wrong. So this goes here. This goes here. Oh my god. Look at all those bullets he's spitting. Oh, what the heck? He's still... I wasn't wrong. If the player's x is less than, that would mean he would be on the left, so it needs to go set the angle. And let's, because he's spitting like crazy. That's a really mad spitter. So let's give him a timer. Behaviors, timer. And let's give him a, oops, sorry. Select him, instance variables. Call it a boolean, cooldown, boolean, and let's make sure that, let's see here, we want to make sure that his cooldown is off, so invert that to off, hit B again, bring all this stuff down here. And we're going to say start the timer for cooldown. We're going to be like 0.5. I think, no. We'll give it 1 second in between. You have 1 second in between shots. That should be fine. And this will be called cooldown, not call down. Let's write enemy cooldown so we don't get it confused with our other timer that's going on. And on timer. Enemy cooldown. I cannot spell cooldown today. We want to set. We want to set the boolean to false. And we want over here to set it to true. Perfecto. Now he should only be spitting every. This stuff again. That's not working. Let's try that maybe. Doesn't seem to matter. Oh, well, the health works. Nice. Okay, cool. Oh, almost dropped the controller. Okay. If... let's maybe do it the other way. System, comparative values, SPR, spitter, dot X is greater than SPR player controllers dot X. If it's the spitter is greater, then we want it to shoot to the right. Copy this, cancel. This is basically the same thing in the code, so I don't know how this is going to be changing it. What is going on? What did I do? The spitter is to the right. We want to do that. If the spitter is to the left, we want to do this. The stupid mouse sucks. It keeps thinking I'm double clicking when I'm not. Let's see what happens. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Is he finally going to spit the right way? No? Still doesn't want to? Why isn't this working? Let's add a global variable called test. And let's see. It's already shooting to the right. So let's system. Why isn't it shooting to the left? Let's see if this will tell us if this is even being fired if we run it in debug mode. So we can come down here, we can look for our test variable that we just made. I almost always, in all my games, have a variable called test. Super easy. Okay, so yeah, this is working. So it's seeing us when it's to the left of us, but it's still not changing the angle properly. Because I chose player bullet and not enemy bullet. Debugging. Probably one of the reasons why I should have used a different art for the player bullet. Okay. Whoops. Wrong button. Not sure how he's seeing it right there, but... okay. Okay, we get the point. You're shooting me in the face. And let's add another, under the losing condition, another event. If player, compare instance variable HP is equal to or less than 0, we want to first disable this, and we want to set animation to death, and why not go ahead and set that boolean that we had. We don't want to do that one. Set animation to death, system, animation on finished death. We're going to restart the layout. Restart the layout, and also let's system Subtract 1 from lives. I feel like this is going to keep on going, so I don't think our death animation is going to play right. I don't think it's going to play right. Well, let's find out. Yeah, so because I have it set to, is equal to or less than, this continues to trigger, so this never actually gets to play. So, let's also give him a instance variable called lose boolean, and this will only trigger add a new condition if lose is false. And let's go over here and set the boolean to lose true. So now this will only fire if he is not dying or whatever, not losing. And this will set losing to true, so it should only fire once. It should only fire off once. No, it's not firing at all because reasons. Let's move this up to the top, see if that does anything. Okay, so it looks like it's trying to. The problem is with this stuff over here. Control C, Control V, change this to lose. I think the other animation stuff was overriding the death animation. So it'd go to play the death animation, but it's like, oh wait, he's on the floor not moving. Wait, play the idle animation. Oh, there we go. And now I can't move, do nothing, I can't jump. Or I can't move left and right. Let's see if I can jump or shoot. I'm dying. I can still shoot, but I can't jump. Where is the shoosting bit? Oh, add one to this. Lose. Now I should not be able to shoot either. Spitter, this is all spitter stuff. Spitter stuff, that goes in here. Boom. This will go in the losing stuff. And now let's set up how we can kill the spitter. Let's give the spitter some health. This is variables HP. And we'll give him a starting HP of 3. And say player bullet on collision with another object, spitter. Boom. We'll say spitter subtract from HP 1. If the spitter's compare instance variable, if the spitter's HP is equal to or less than 0, then the spitter gets destroyed. Destroyed, very nice. Old school, fucking horrible. Okay. Let's put some more spitters around. And put one over there. On an even higher platform, I guess. Oh wow, a lot of these bad boys. So let's go to our layers, lock that, unlock platforms, project tile map. Let's create another one, another tile. It's a little bit longer. Back to this. Whoops. I locked that player layer. So we got some spitter enemies there. Fantastic. Let's actually put this guy on the ground. And for our last kind of teaching moment over here, So this is set up to, like, we want him to get hit at least once, so we can show the player that, hey, it's okay to get attacked because you have health. You know what I mean? So don't worry about, losing a bit of health. You can make mistakes. It's fine. And so for this final teaching moment, we're going to do a mover thing. So build that, build this. Deep wall. And we're going to make this a really large kind of cavern that there's no way they could jump across. So they'll have to find another way to do it. And again, whoops. I really regret filling all this in. That was stupid. Hindsight's 2020. Let's take this, let's bring the opacity to 0 so I don't have to look at it anymore. And go back to erasing. Crap. And we're almost there. Come on. This is, sorry, it's my mouse. It thinks I'm double clicking, which I'm not. It's an old POS mouse. So it keeps opening up stuff that it shouldn't be opening. Okay, we're making some progress. I feel like it's possible, like if you, but I don't know. So I feel like it's possible that if on your tile map you leave a blank space with no art in it, then you could just use the rectangle tool with that blank space selected and it would erase everything. But even though there's no art there, I'm not sure if the collision would still be there. I don't know, I haven't tried that. Maybe give it a try when you're doing yours. So that way you don't have to sit here like me like an idiot and do this. Whoop. Alright. And let's add our mover in. Insert. This is going to go on. We can keep this on the platform layer. Insert new object. SPR. SPR mover. And we can just go over here, open, because I think it's just a single image. It's not a. Yep, there we go. It is not a animated thing. And we have our platform. If I could select it, but I can't because I had the erase tool selected. And we'll just kind of raise it up slightly. Behaviors, bullet, bullet. And let's give it a speed of 400. Let's see what that does. And we'll say mover on collision with the ground. Oops. And let's give it a direction, maybe. And since variable dir right now, it is going right. Changes from number to text. Oops. Thank you. I guess, no. Right. And we'll say B to get a sub-event. And we'll say compare instance variable dir is equal to right. Then set angle to 180 and set dir set value dir to left. Again with that stupid semicolon. Control C, Control V, change this to left. And change this to right. And change this to 0. That should give us a little moving platform left and right. Oh, I forgot to set it to destroy. Ooh, man. These guys definitely have a long I forgot to set the bullet. So he gets here, he's like, ugh, I don't know what to do. What the heck, man? Oh man, that mover's slow. Maybe we should make it a little bit faster. Come on, Mr. Mover. Is it not even coming? It's not even coming. Obviously I screwed up somewhere here. Alright, so first, let's say where is the player bullet on collision with this. We also want the player bullet to get destroyed. And as you can see, I've been doing a great work of keeping up with my commenting, which usually happens. Like I get in a programming state of mind and I forget to add comments. Let's set the layout scale to 0.5 so I can see the whole layout and see what this mover is actually doing. I think it's just shooting off screen, but let's see. It is. So on collision with the ground, set the dir to, and the dir is equal to right. Let's try, instead of setting the angle, let's try setting angle of motion. Maybe that'll work. Probably not, but let's find out. I think actually that might work, actually, because it's something that's currently in motion. No. Mover is equal to left. Well, let's see if it's even getting its thing changed. Where's the mover at? Should be SPR mover. Let's look at there. It's still set to right. It should be set from right at the beginning. So I believe this is another great spot where we can use our test variable here. And let's just see if it's even firing off on the collision with the ground. Okay, so yeah, that fires. So let's see if this is firing. That's firing. So why isn't it changing the... Okay, I see what's happening now. So it's hitting this, right? It's changing it to left, it's changing the thing, but immediately it's also changing it right back. So maybe if I do an else statement here. Let's find out. That might work better. Yep, there we go. The else statement. Oh yeah. Boop. Boop. So, because it was setting this to left in the angle motion, it was doing it like right off the bat. As soon as it happened, it was changing it to right, and then it would change it to left, and it would change it right back to right. And it would go back and forth like that so quickly that the right just kind of overpowered it. With the else statement there saying, if the direction is set to right, do this, else do this. And there's kind of like a pause there that allows it to do it properly. So now we got a mover going back and forth. And I also wanted to change, let's go back to this. Let's go back to this guy. Let's change this to like 500. Actually, I can grab him, all of them as a whole. And so the reason why this is empty is because this guy's set to 500, these guys are set to 1,000, so it doesn't know what to put in here, so it just leaves it empty. If I put them all to 500, then the next time I click on it, you'll see it says 500 here, range. Which is the same reason why you see up here in the position that it doesn't have a position, because they're all in different positions, so it doesn't know what to put in there. Fun fact. Oh, forgot to go back here and change the scale back to 1.5. Zoom it in. Oh, that might be going a little too fast. Dang, I kind of want to add a duck ability now that I don't have it. I can't land on it. I think I made it too fast. And you could add more pits and different, oh, it's not a solid. I'm going right through it. Might help if I made this a solid so I can actually land on it. I was like, I don't think I'm that terrible at this. Oh, there's another issue I just found. So, if I'm this way, he doesn't actually turn to face me. So we can fix that too. And I think that's pretty much going to be it, because I think we already talked about, on the asteroids, I could be wrong about setting up, but I think we did. We talked about how to set up a, like a title page or an opening page. It would be nice to add some audio to this, but, don't have a ton of time, so. Alright, hit the door, and that's the end of the level. And then you could use, like, just like we did with the losing, where it says go to layout game over after lives. You could do that same thing with, once they hit the, where do we put the winning thing at? Right here, when they collide with the door, you could put, like, system wait. Okay, wait 1 second, and then system go to layout, and then let's say we add another layout to this. Add its own event sheet. Level 2. Boom. And the good thing is, since we did a lot of the programming here, what is this for? Oh, the mover. The good thing is, since we did a lot of the programming here, level 2, rename, level 2 events. Just go to the level 2 event sheet, right click, include event sheet, and just boom. And this, we could actually just change this, rename this to game events. And we can delete, yes, and just have level 2 use the event sheet game events. Done. Then you don't even need a level 2 thing. And for level 2, I'm just going to do a quick thing here. Oops. Level 2, just bring that over. Boom. And I think we can actually level 1, take this stuff over, make it the same. And let's see, I don't think that's going to affect anything over here. No. Yeah. So we can do a whole new level over here, level 2. Let's do this quick fix for the guys, the spitters. We'll also say player, where's that spitter thing? We'll say that. Copy all this. Let's just copy the whole thing. Paste it down here. Oops. Come on. Move this up. Get rid of the cooldown factor. Get rid of all this junk. And say set mirrored and not mirrored. Set mirrored. Not mirrored. I probably have these backwards because I'm not actually checking what the code says because I'm being lazy. Yeah, so yeah, I had that backwards. Let's do this. Boop. Boop. So if the spitter has line of sight, if the spitter's X is greater than the player, that means if the spitter's to the right, it's not going to mirror the spitter, or it's going to unmirror the spitter. And if the spitter is to the left of the player, it's going to mirror it, so it flips it on the other side. We can move this over to here. Play again. And now, and I think the last thing I want to do is, because, that's fine, I guess. So yeah, now they're all facing the right way. And I'm dead, because I wasn't being smart. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Why is he bugged out now? Oh, because, I get it. Ugh. Alright, cool. This probably could be slowed down a little bit, but boom. We have our side-scrolling shooter. Oh man, and I think we also went over, I feel like we went over sound and asteroids. I could be wrong, let me know. Or I could just look it up myself, sorry. So maybe we might come back to this, add another level, add some more mechanics, and add some sound and, a start page, stuff like that. Let's do just a quick thing on the game over events and just say that if the player presses the start button, start a menu button, system, go to layout, level 1, and we're going to system reset global variables. That should reset all of our variables back to their basic starting positions. So let's see here. Let's see what happens if I die. Oh, I'm supposed to be killing myself. If I die by this guy, that's cool. If I go down here and I die, that's fine. And then I get the game over page. If I hit start, go back and get my lives back. Let's make sure that worked though. Get killed. Yeah, so there we go. Running shooter. This is so basic. This is like a super basic run and shoot. I think next time we'll add on to this. We'll add some more mechanics. We'll add like a ducking mechanic. We'll add some sounds. We'll add another level, and I promise it's not going to take 2 years for the next one. I'll follow it up here in a few days. I'll probably record it either tomorrow or let's see. I'm working Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But I believe I'm off Monday, so I think I'll probably record it Monday, and then I'll either upload it late Monday or early Tuesday of this week, next coming week. So, yeah, thanks for watching. This is Nick Stalker with Demonic Procedures. Just remember, guys, the demon's inside. See you later.